But we are definitely overdue for an update here on the Kentucky Bluegrass renovation. It's been a little over 2 weeks, and so I wanted to take a look at the progress so far and talk about some of the questions that I've had about the project. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the green peach fuzz I got going on my lawn here, and then we'll also get into some of the questions that you guys had from the original renovation video. So I will say that seeding at 2.5 pounds per thousand with Kentucky Bluegrass definitely made me nervous because it seemed like a very light amount of seed compared to what I've been used to with tall fescue over the years. The thing to note about Kentucky Bluegrass is the seeds are so small and they tend to disappear into the soil, is that you definitely get a little bit nervous that maybe your seed washed away in the rain, maybe the birds got it, who knows. But just when you think that your renovation project's going wrong, usually you're going to be okay. And looking at the amount of germination that I've had in the first couple of weeks, some of my anxiety about this project is starting to go away now that I've got some established germination and I can see the results. So there was one particular question somebody asked me, and I purposely left this out of the previous video because I wanted to address it after I had some time to sort of survey what would happen. Is that someone asked me, didn't you use tenacity, didn't you use fungicide when you put seed down? Aren't you worried about weeds? And so the answer to that question is yes. I did put a herbicide pre-emergent down in tenacity when I put seed down, and I also used a fungicide because I knew that I was going to be watering a lot. So the reason I left that out is because we got a really hard rain about an hour after I finished the whole project. I mean, we got a really hard downpour for about an hour and a half after the project was done. So I was definitely concerned about washout, about all the liquid applications that I made to the lawn. I was worried about it all just kind of running off and losing all those applications. And the reason that I left that out is because I wanted to see if I had any weeds come up and what would the result of that be. And so what I was able to actually determine is that, yes, the application of tenacity did take, as you can see, here's a little bit of nutsedge, completely bleached out. Here is a little bit of broadleaf, also completely bleached out. And then I've got some areas that are kind of like this, to where, the weeds come up, the sedge really hasn't taken off. Haven't seen any crabgrass or anything really to note other than, the steady flow of green peach fuzz, as I would call it, that I've got here in my lawn. So for those of you that when you put down the tenacity, you put on your fungicide, and maybe you get rain immediately after and you're thinking, maybe I should go out and reapply, don't do it. You don't want to over apply those products. You want to just kind of give it a couple of days, see if you get any weeds that come up and see if they turn white. I saw the weeds that I just showed you, they turn white within about a week of the tenacity application. So I'm probably not due for another application of tenacity, probably for another 2 weeks or so. I'm going to hold off as long as I can because I don't want to inhibit the growth of the bluegrass that I have coming up, because we are in the midst of the sprout and pout phase. And because we had a lot of rain, I can tell I did have some washout, kind of where I have a little bit of a swale where the water, as it, naturally the water drains down the grade. My lawn is sloped a little bit towards my neighbor's house, and all of the water that collects and drains down the middle of the lawn, as you can see, the seed kind of washed out a little bit. I have less germination in those areas, although I'm not overly concerned because the Kentucky Bluegrass is going to spread. So I'm not really concerned about overseeding too heavy in those areas. You can definitely see down on this side of the lawn where all of that seed has collected and germinated, and it looks actually like it's really thick down here, like there might be a little bit of crowding. So not overly concerned about all of that. I'm going to hit that with some fungicides. Hopefully I don't have a lot of melting out or disease issues because of the overcrowding, but we'll see what happens. And then also over here on my boulevard strip, you can see where I had a lot of the seed was able to stay put. I intentionally left this part of the renovation, the existing material that was here at the grass, I left this a little bit longer on purpose because I wanted to see if that would affect the germination. and I also wanted to see if it would help hold the seed in place. And one thing that I have noticed is if you look down at this end, you can see there's a lot of germinated bluegrass. And then in here, in the middle part, not so much. I have patches where the seed had germinated, and then down here at the end, I have more germination. So I'm not really sure how to explain what happened here, other than maybe some of this taller material possibly choked out some of that seed, although I can see down in here, maybe it's just not as visible, there are some patches of bluegrass that have germinated in here big time. It tends to be in the areas or the aeration holes, so possibly there's something to that. And probably the most common question that I've gotten from that video where I did the sand leveling is, why did you decide to do a sand and soil mix? If you watch that video, you'll know that I did a 20% soil, topsoil, to an 80% sand mixture. And the reason I did that is because I was starting from a bare dirt renovation. If I already had an existing lawn here, I probably would have gone with 100% sand because of the leveling properties, and I didn't want to compromise that. So I wanted mostly sand because leveling was really the key, but then I also wanted to add some soil in with that sand mixture so that I can retain moisture and help retain nutrients for the hungry seed that I put down. So by adding a little bit of soil into the sand, I still got the leveling benefits, but it also gave the seed a medium, more of like a soil medium or a silty soil, to where I could hold some nutrients, and then I could also hold a little bit more water than if I just did sand by itself. Now I haven't mowed, I don't know, probably 3 weeks, and the backyard's getting a little bit long. I haven't mowed back here either because I did a couple of seeding projects in the back, not really as extensive as the bare dirt renovation in the front yard, but I definitely had some things that I needed to correct back here, so I decided to just do them all at the same time. So about a week after I did the front yard renovation, I added some seed in the back, and I actually used some turf mend to fix an area where I had to do some drainage repairs. Now I was having some issues with the channel drain that is over here on this concrete slab, and the channel drain was clogged. It came out to like a French drain where it just went into rocks, and over the years it had turned into just a muddy, cakey mess, so the water didn't actually have anywhere to go. So what I did was I did a corrugated pipe all the way through the lawn out into the creek that runs behind my house. So I had a whole bunch of bare dirt back here in the backyard, and so what I did is I used the turf mend. I'd say we're about 9 days or so post seeding on the turf mend, and everything has germinated and is coming in quite well. I used the Barenbrug version is what I was sent by Jeff and his team, so certainly appreciate that. But it's the Yellow Jacket Barenbrug turf type tall fescue blend. It has fertilizer and it has fungicide in that seed coating, so I really didn't need to do anything back here as far as throwing down any fertilizer or anything of that nature. It's already sort of pre-mixed or coated on that seed. So so far pretty happy with how far this has come along. Now we did not get any rain back here for probably 2 weeks after I put that seed down. We got rain the first day that I did the renovation project in the front, and then we didn't get any rain at all for almost 2 weeks until the last few days. And actually I would have filmed this video much sooner, but it's been raining over the past couple days and haven't had a chance to come out and get anything done. So with the previous turf mend project, I had a bare spot where we renovated this section last year. This spot, and I'll show a clip from the original video where this was almost completely bare and had a couple of spots up here on top of the hill where I get an incredible amount of shade, no sun, and it came in great. I mean, I put the turf mend down in May, so in the spring I put the turf mend down. I basically set it up to fail. I watered it periodically, I mowed over it, I walked over it. My dog and my kids, they all track over this area to go down and play on the playground, and it came in really well. I was actually really surprised at how well it did. I actually expected it to be an epic failure, so overall that's pretty promising. So I'm pretty pretty happy with the results there. So this backyard was basically just a typical overseeding project. I had my buddy Matt with Vale Landscape come out and aerate the backyard. I just dropped tall fescue seed and just let it do its thing. So I'm probably another week or so away from mowing the backyard here, and we'll kind of be back into the swing of things. Now, on a high note, we had germination in 7 days, pretty much just from irrigation. I did have that one rain the day that I finished the project. Aside from that, 2 weeks after that point, 0 rain, 100% irrigation from then on, and we got germination in 7 days, which is pretty incredible for Kentucky bluegrass. Never done a Kentucky bluegrass project like this before, so I can't really compare it to anything else I've ever done. But I was surprised that I had germination so quickly. In fact, I went out of town for that week, came back, and I had germination. So it may even have been faster than that. I'm not really sure. So a few days ago, I actually went ahead and reapplied my starter fertilizers. I'm sort of spoon feeding the Kentucky bluegrass. I'm not really concerned about walking on this right now at this point. Now that we've got a little bit of establishment and starting to fill in, I'm more comfortable with actually stepping out on the lawn. So I went ahead and applied my starter fertilizer again as I'm spoon feeding the bluegrass. I don't want to push too much top growth while the bluegrass is trying to push roots. It's generally in the sprout and pout phase. That's the grass telling you it's trying to drive roots before you see any top growth. So I went ahead and I put the Bloomplex and the multi-purpose out one more time. I'm going to do it again in another 2 weeks before I start hitting it harder with the granular nitrogen leading into fall, and allowing this grass to fill in. So that's pretty much all I've got for you right now at this point for an update. Got some more things to come, hopefully some exciting things to add to the channel here very soon. So with that, I appreciate you guys tagging along, and we'll see ya in the next one.